Let's go. Let's go. I am online. Hello, everybody. I just have to really quickly just share the stream on Twitter. And once I've done that, then I can... they're gonna kill you. Look, it's a meme. It's a meme title. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. It's a meme. I'm just joking. I'm absolutely joking. Absolutely. I hope by now that people kind of recognize what kind of thumbnails I do, where I kind of do these like purposefully, like just brain dead thumbnails, just for fun. Like I don't care, right? Like I don't have a whole lot of there we go. Okay, as long as I don't... I'm trying to set up my phone to have the chat on the side here, but I don't think that's gonna work. Okay, so I just need to share it on Twitter that I'm live, and then I can start the game proper. I have a couple things I have to say before we start, though. And I will be sort of sending a little... have a message that I'll put inside the chat that refers to one of the things that I like have to make sure I say really quick. Okay, let's just write here that I've gone live. Perfect. Alright, the tweet's out. And I can switch to the game, because we are going to be playing Monster 4 Ultimate. Now, there's a couple things I really have to go over first. And this is super important. I'm going to leave it in the chat right now. Okay, we're gonna send that, and then I can pin this, right? Yes. Alright, so I've pinned it. This is very important, everyone. Please do not discuss anything to do with the Monster Hunter Wilds leaks. We're gonna be talking Monster Hunter Wilds today. We're gonna be talking Monster Hunter Outlanders today. It is so important that we don't mention anything to do with the leaks. If I see any comments that have anything to do with the leaks, I will straight up just ignore them. I want to assure all of you that I am aware of what's happening, what's been said, what's going on. I think it's unfortunate that people are being spoiled on things, and I'd prefer not to partake in that. And also just in general, like, Capcom doesn't really like it when we talk about these leaks. If we want to be good, I guess, consumers, which is a terrible thing to say. You should never be sucking up to a company. But the thing is, I have a lot of respect for Capcom at the end of the day. I think they're one of the better companies, even with some of the stuff. I think they are, in comparison to a lot of other companies, one of the better ones. I don't really want to ruin the experience for anyone. I also don't want to ruin what Monster Hunter team has been cooking with this new game. So I just think it's really important that we don't talk about it. I've unfortunately been spoiled on basically everything, but I'd prefer just not to talk about it. But at the end of the day, I'm very excited about Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, regardless of what has been said, what's come out, I'm very excited, but I'd prefer if we just don't talk about it. But you can ask me anything. I mean, I played the open beta test. The other thing I have to really just mention real quick. I'm playing Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate right now. Unfortunately, my save file for Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is cursed. This is the third time that I've had to restart this specific, I guess, save file. It's my, like, primarily stream save file, my streaming save file. This is, like, the third time I've had to restart it. Something happened to the save file. It got corrupted. I'm just gonna load the character. It got corrupted. I lost the save file. And then I had to restart. And since then, I guess it happened again, or something else happened. And I've had to restart again. This time, though, I used some tools that the community made about 10 years ago. So although I've restarted, a lot of my stuff that I had in the previous save file, I was able to salvage. So it's almost like I basically have equipment that is... I have some equipment, I have armor that is relic armor, and I just didn't want to have to... I didn't want to have to grind for that again. It sucks. Like, it sucks to grind relic armor. I don't like grinding for relic armor. So I may have used a tool that helped me get it back. But the problem is that every quest is no longer clear. So I have to restart because my save file was messed up. So we're gonna go through Gathering Hall low rank today. I'm using a low rank weapon, so the monsters could still, and my defense isn't very high. So near the end of low rank, I might still get beat up, but honestly, just expect a lot of these hunts to be like quick, easy, dirty, like very fast. Okay, so with those two things out of the way, I'm ready to start now. I'm ready to read chat. So, how is everyone? By choice or someone... Oh, right. No, I'm not going to talk about the leaks. Try hard to avoid spoilers. Thumbnail clickbait. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are just using stuff in their thumbnails. I promise that I would never do that. And if anything, anything I've put in my thumbnails is all stuff that either I guessed or it's better I just don't talk about it. All right. Yeah. I think it's better I just don't talk about it. I guess the other thing too is I don't, the title of this stream is a joke. I don't believe Outlanders is gonna be any... I think it's gonna be okay at best. That's my honest take, from what I've seen. I think Monster Outlanders is absolute garbage. Okay, it's gacha and it's against what Monster Hunter is. Don't care, you can't hunt and just make equipment out of monsters. So no, if you hunt monsters more, that they want you... What? They want you don't even get rewards. This game screams in Monster Hunter... Monster Hunter game for people who don't like Monster games and are interested. Why? It's because it's a massive market and like put it simply, there is a market for people that just want to... They like gacha games. There's a market for gacha games, and Capcom just wants to make sure that they have, you know, they get that money. They're a for-profit company. They're part of the capitalistic machine. Their CEO is hired to make them money. That's what a CEO is hired to do. And if you don't do that, then I don't know. I need to collect honey. How am I playing World again with my wife, farming one of every armor set as we go to fill the time until wild. So very good. Yeah, that's something that I always sort of... I go back and forth on. Monster Hunter World was one of the first games where I thought about, like, maybe I should farm every armor. But Monster Hunter World didn't quite click for me. Rise was pretty close. I was farming a lot of armor in Rise. But ultimately, I think Wilds is going to be the game where, like, I will actually make every single armor. I will actually make a ton of different weapons. But that might be tough, because I'll be honest. After playing... when I went into the open beta test, I was expecting to not like Charge Blade. I was expecting to... I was going to force myself to learn all the new weapons and all the new weapon movesets. But I ended up just playing Charge Blade the entire time and loving it. I was so wrong. I thought I would not like Charge Blade, but in the end, I actually really like Charge Blade. But I will still probably try out a couple different weapons. I'm not really feeling Greatsword so far, but Sword and Shield, I really like what they've done with it, in Wilds, so that is something that I'm interested in. But yeah, every single armor. That's my plan. I want to just farm every single monster. The monster selection that they revealed so far is so great, and I have such faith that the roster is going to be fantastic. Probably one of the best rosters in the series. Not gonna lie, Wilds is like everything I would want in Monster Hunter, but like, I'm afraid of some experimental they could do, but otherwise it's honestly perfect. Yeah, that's basically where I'm standing. Like even the experiments that they're kind of doing. I'm up for it. At first I was a little bit hesitant, but the more that I've played Wilds and the more that they've shown, like I have a lot of faith and a lot of trust that what they're doing is like a lot of thought went into these decisions is what I'm trying to say, and it's kind of what my video was sort of about. By the way, how is the volume balance right now? Can you guys hear me just fine with the game volume? I have the volume's really loud for me. Like, I can barely hear myself. So I just want to make sure it's not too loud. I also want to say hi to some of the people here, because there's a couple people I recognize, like Misfit's here. Hi, Misfit. Welcome. You have someone named Alma? That's funny. Wilds Charge Blade is the best it's ever been. Exactly. And I didn't think it would be. In fact, like when I first started using the weapon, I was like, it feels weird. But then once I got the hang of it, I was like, yeah, this is a good weapon. When I think about Wild's story so far, I think it might beat For You. Yeah, I have confidence it's gonna beat For You. I think it's gonna be the best story that the series has ever had, and I think it comes from the fact that, one, I think just competent direction. Like actually competent direction for once, in terms of the cinematics and writing, but also just respect. It's something I keep trying to talk about when I'm discussing Wilds, but there is a level, like a sense of respect for the series, like the people working on it. It feels like there is, I don't know, it's almost like they finally have confidence in Monster Hunter for what it is. Like, they're not afraid of what Monster Hunter is, and they're not afraid of its world design or its characters and everything. Like, it just feels genuinely Monster Hunter, and I haven't quite felt that since maybe 3rd gen? Maybe 3rd gen? Because even 4th gen with, like, some of the stuff in here, it was just a little bit strange. But I think it was mostly 5th gen where I felt like they were kind of unsure of what Monster Hunter is and the direction that they wanted to go. And both titles were kind of tonally all over the place, both World and Rise. Wilds is very, like, I think it knows what its tone is, and it's sticking to it. And, yeah. Yeah. Game volume's good. It's really low. Game volume is low. You sound perfect. Hold on. I can... Oh, the volume's pretty good. No, the volume is nice. I'm not gonna increase it. If you would reclassify any monsters and put them in other classes, who would they be? Okay. I've thought about this a lot. There's actually a lot of monsters I think should be reclassified. Like, I personally believe Mizitsune should not be a Leviathan. Mizitsune is a fanged wyvern. Gonna be honest, he just is a fanged wyvern. I know that it comes down to the feet. Like, in Monster Hunter lore, it comes down to the feet. And the way that the feet are determines, like, the... Mizitsune has a similar hand and claw structure that, like, Lagiacrus or Ludroth has. So I understand why they have it put in the Leviathan category, but Mizitsune, I'll be honest, deserves a redesign, and that redesign should change the feet, and they should put it in the Fanged Wyvern category. That's my hot take on that. But similarly, I also believe that both Akantor and Eucanlos should be reclassified as Fanged Wyverns. I'm pretty sure they are basically just Fanged Wyverns. Akantor and Eucanlos. So... I don't know which one. I think I have to hunt Gypceros, right? Gypceros is on the docket. But I need Trank Bombs, because this is a... capture quest. What other monsters would I reclassify? Yamasakami should... No, Yamasakami is still an Elder Dragon. I was gonna say it should be reclassified out of Elder Dragon now that we have new Cephalopod monsters coming in Wilds. Well, at least one new monster. There might be more than one, but they've only revealed one so far. So that's one I would think about. I might just do meat. That's one I would think about reclassifying, but I'm not quite sure yet. I still believe that Gore Magala should be Elder Dragon. I get why it's question marks. I understand the lore reason, but I think at the end of the day, if Gore Magala is like 80% Gore Magala, then I believe it should still be considered an Elder Dragon if it's like 80%. But what are some other ones? I'm not sure. Off the top of my head, those were the big ones. I think there's just a bunch of monsters that should be reclassified to Fanged Wyvern. Yeah. Puke, I'm not quite sure if Puke is... I don't know if... Whoa, do I have Feline Lander? I do. I'm not sure if I totally buy the Puke as a bird wyvern. I don't think having feathers indicates if you're a bird wyvern or not. I think it has to do more with its resemblance to a bird, and Puke does not look like a bird at all. But that's just my hot take. You want to talk about the market for gacha games? Look at Kanta. They got bored of Monster Hunter After World and switched to streaming gacha games, so like they're probably really looking forward. Yeah, most likely. There's Gypceros. I was like, where? Gypceros normally spawns here. Puke is the most unbirdy creature I've ever seen. This has been talked about already, but how do you feel about Insect Glaive in the Wilds open beta test? Okay, so my belief about Insect Glaive, it comes down to, I think that focus mode is still, it's a good idea. Like I've come around to focus mode. I realize why it was integrated. But I believe that the focus mode has had some unfortunate impacts on some of the weapons, and not every weapon has been, I guess, treated well by focus mode. And as far as I understand, Insect Glaive is one of them, where the way that aiming works, because you want to aim with the Insect Glaive, because you're trying to send out the bug, right? I should preface that I'm not a huge Insect Glaive guy. Like, I've never really been a big user of the weapon, so... I think that Insect Glaive might be going through a bit of a rough patch in Wilds, but hopefully in Portable 6, we will get like a better version of this focus mode insect link. That's what I'm hoping for. Or they just, I don't know, they hear us and they change the controls a bit so that it's a little bit easier to operate. Because as it stands, I totally stand with people when they say that operating these weapons have never been more complicated. It involves so many more buttons being held down and pressed and moved and... Gypseros is cool. Would you reclassify any of the Wilds monsters? Some of the classifications feel weird to me. No, I wouldn't. I'm happy with the classifications as they stand. I believe that Rompopolo, was that his name? Rompopolo? The mosquito bug-looking brute wyvern. I believe that that monster shouldn't be reclassified, it should just be redesigned so that it's not a brute wyvern and it's a bug that uses the brute wyvern skeleton. That's what I would prefer. But as it stands, it's fine. I'm okay with the classifications so far. Puke Puke is a beak. Most bird wyverns that aren't raptors have beaks. Yeah, but like Rathian and Rathalos have a beak. So that's why I... Like, Legiana also has a beak. There's lots of fly... Oh, good. We got a capture. Rompopolo could have been an epic mosquito. Yeah. Monster seems to have a proper taxonomy, so classifying monsters on their morphology alone is not enough. One monster may not look like a bird, but actually is. Monster does not have proper taxonomy at all. The whole aesthetic. Why is he going down there? What? Oh no, he's going up. The whole point of Monster Hunter is that it's meant to be that they don't know. They don't understand. They've put monsters in the wrong categories and they've had to move them. Bullfango used to be in the herbivore category, but what even is the herbivore category? They eventually moved it to Fanged Beast, but like, wouldn't that apply to, like, why isn't Celebi in Fanged Beast? There's lots, I think there's lots of evidence that they just, or like even a Cantor and Eucanlos. Well, Cantor used to be Elder Dragon until it was moved into... Until it's moved into Flying Wyvern. But even then, I think at this point, it's probably closer... Well, yeah, it is probably quite close to Flying Wyvern. But Monster Hunter doesn't classify its monsters by its... Does not classify them by their, I guess, like, their placement on ecological tree, but rather it's entirely based on, I think that's what you said. I think that's what you said. Cantor was always a Flying Wyvern. No, it was an Elder... It was labeled as an Elder Dragon in Freedom 2. Is this a Mandela effect? Like, I swear. Oh, Nargacuga also has a beak, yeah. A beak with teeth. A lot of the bird wyverns have beaks with teeth. I think the whole point is we're not really, it's not, you know, it doesn't really matter. A lot of the monster classifications don't really matter. I guess it's kind of cool to, you know, speculate, but like frankly, like a lot of a lot of brute wyverns would they not be in the same tree as the bird wyverns? Like, they have the same theropod skeleton. Hunter's little isopod could be a Carapaceon too. Exactly. Monster classifications are basically for gameplay purposes. Yeah, they are. Like, it's entirely gameplay purpose. Even like the classification for Elder Dragon, the only reason why it really was applied to Kieran and a lot of different monsters is just because at the time it was literally just, it was like a blanket, like, you cannot capture this monster. But of course that also just didn't apply. I'm pretty sure you could not capture the dromes, right, in Monster Hunter 1? Or is that another Mandela effect? I'm pretty sure you cannot, because you can't, they can't fall into pitfall traps, right? Or am I wrong? And shock traps were only brought in 2nd gen. Trying to say the Rompopolo Cumatrace? I still don't know how to. I'm waiting for the game to come out. Are the bridges that cross the gaps between brute and bird wyverns? Oh, yeah, no, like that. I believe that. Especially Cumatrace. YouTube remove comments and videos from mobile? No, it hasn't. Did that just happen today? Chemitris? Chemitris, okay. It is bugged. Just happened. Oh. Well, that's lame. Still works on Vances, though. Vances? Whoa, Monster Hunter? Yeah, I'm playing Monster Hunter. So, did you guys see that I was in CR Volcanics? I've been in CR Volcanics' new videos. So, CR Volcanic is another Monster Hunter content creator. He loves to hype up all the different monsters across the generations. That's a big part of his channel, is literally just hyping up monsters. Like, that's from, like, every time I've seen his content, it's always checking out every single frontier monster, checking out, like, every single certain gen monster. Like, it's really hyping up the different monsters, and a lot of it's, like, just tribute to the different monsters. He did a community-led poll where he was able to get, I think, something like 500,000 votes overall to redo the community Monster Hunter poll. Like, the one that happened for the anniversary, like the top monsters. Like, you know, when they came out with the top 10 community-voted monsters. Am I doing this cover? I am. There he is. And he did his own polls on YouTube. Now, the poll obviously didn't reach everyone. I didn't even know the polls were happening until he told me they were happening and asked me to collab. So, I certainly didn't even vote in everything. I had to scroll all the way down to find Kieran and make sure that I voted positively for Kieran. Because I didn't know they were happening. So they definitely weren't reaching everyone. But they did reach, you know, I would say like maybe 10,000, maybe 20,000 individuals. And they were all very hyper-fixated Monster Hunter fans. So we definitely got a ton of Monster Hunter fans voting for their favorite monsters. So I would say it's a healthy poll. It's definitely not representative of everyone, but it's representative enough of at least a group of hyper-fixated Monster Hunter fanatics, which is always great. Anyway, he asked me to collab because there's just so many monsters to go over, and he wanted to make sure that he gushes about every single one, and he has like the community comments gushing about every single monster, but there's like over 250. So he was like, hey, do you want to like cover a couple of them? And I was like, yeah. And so there's a couple I chose to cover. So far I've been in the videos twice. There should be a third time coming. I won't say what the third monster I cover, but the first two I've covered so far are Kieran and Kashela Diora, which are two. Those are both in my top 10. Kieran is like probably my second favorite monster. So, is Zinogre also #1 in this one? We have yet to see. He's uploading. CR Volcanic is uploading the videos every day. We're only about halfway through though, so we still have a ways to go. I will say, the new placements are weird. So like, I was looking at the one that came out today, and Kashela Diora is listed. Kashela Diora is below Hallowed Jen Moran. And that was kind of sad. Or, Kieran is below Great Jagras, and I was like, oh, okay. And again, it's not, it was a different type of vote. The voting was done differently. It wasn't like you voted for your favorite monster. It was every single monster gets its own poll on whether or not you like the monster. So the spectrum is quite different. A lot of the monsters that were near the bottom are still near the bottom. Like Steel Uragan is still in like the bottom 10, I'm pretty sure, or bottom 20. But a lot of like more popular monsters have moved up, and a lot of popular monsters moved down. So again, we don't yet know what the top is. As it stands, I don't know what the top 10 are. From how it's been, honestly, from how the votes have been going, how the polls have panned out, I would be surprised if Zinogre is not top. I don't know what to guess though for what the top is. Like I have no idea. He has like this algorithm for how it all works. So I honestly, I have no idea what would be at the top. The only thing I do know is just to keep it a surprise for like the other monsters. I mean, I guess I could say the last one I did, but it's I had first dibs. So I was like, okay, I'll call. I don't know if I had like first dibs, but I was able to call dibs on my absolute #1 favorite monster. And if you know my absolute #1 favorite monster, then yeah, then you and I have a feeling that he is gonna be quite high, because he was definitely high on the original poll. This Tetsukabra wants me off of his back. What do you think makes Zinogre so popular? He's just cool. That's basically it. He's just cool. But also, especially in Japan, like, a lot of people's first Monster Hunter title was Portable Third. Like, Portable Third is still, like, the best-selling Monster Hunter title in Japan. If we just look at Japan, Portable Third is still the best-selling. None of the other games have ever come close. Well, I think they have come close, but they have never beaten it. Actually, I don't know how well Frontier did. Maybe Frontier was up there too. I don't know. I don't have data on Frontier. I've never seen data. I feel like Zinogre's becoming a Charizard of Monster Hunter. Yeah, he's kind of the Charizard of Monster Hunter now, where he's popular, everyone fondly remembers him. He was there in their childhood. Rathalos is definitely the Pikachu, where even if you don't like him, like, you can't have a Monster Hunter game without Rathalos, just like how you can't have a Pokemon game without Pikachu. It just feels wrong. But I definitely agree that, yeah, Zinogre is becoming like the new It's becoming the Monster Hunter version of Charizard. And I don't have any problem with that at all. I want to say, I am actually a Zinogre fan, all things considered. Like, I think its ecology and design is stupid, but I think that stupid is so cool, like, that it's like I can't help but like him. I also like the fight, and I like the music, and I also played Portable Third when I was a child, so obviously, you know, it's nostalgic for me. I can't escape Zinogre. And frankly, like, Stygian Zinogre, like, I really love Stygian Zinogre. It's one of my favorite subspecies. There's something about, like, that color scheme. I think it's the same reason why I like Shadow the Hedgehog. Like, I love that color scheme, and I love the vibe. Like, that, like, dark but cool, you know? Dark but cool. It's like, it's not dark but evil, but, like, dark but, like, moody and cool. I don't know, I like that. That is something what a lot of Westerners don't seem to get about Zinogre's popularity. He isn't just called Doggo over there when they have the same relation with him as Freedom Unite vets have with Tigrex. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Me, Lagiacrus, and Rathalos are at the top. I hate Zinogre, though I liked him a lot, especially when I was younger. I definitely liked... actually, I didn't like Zinogre. Historically, I didn't like Zinogre when I was a child because I liked Lagiacrus so much. And I felt that Zinogre was replacing Lagiacrus in Portable Third. And I was like, why couldn't they just get Lagiacrus to work on land? Why do they have to introduce a new monster? But Lagiacrus' circumstances and baggage meant it missed the boat. Yeah, unfortunately. He's a flea-ridden dog. It's cute. Yeah, I kind of like... another thing that, like, really actually unironically made me like him a lot was the anime. The Feline Village anime. They had an episode. You can look this up. It's on YouTube. The Feline Village Monster Hunter anime. There was an episode where they had Zinogre come on the talk show portion. There's, like, a portion of the show... in between the comedy sections where it's like a talk show and it's meant to mimic and make fun of like Japanese reality shows, but you have a cat, and then you also have the what's his name, the guy who trains you in the older portable games. It's in Generations Ultimate. He's the guy that teaches you the hunting styles. You go up to him and he's like, I'm gonna teach you the new hunting style. The hunting arts. It's that guy. Anyway, he's on the show, and in one episode they bring on Zinogre, and Zinogre just talks. Zinogre is just talking, and it's really funny when he's like, he's just so chill. Like, he's like, yeah, I just want to talk about my life. And I thought that was so funny. I don't know. It's always kind of stuck with me. There's a couple jokes. He mentioned, like, the cat is like, hey, Zinogre, is anyone special in your life? And the Zinogre is like, you know, I'm really jealous of what Rathian has with Rathalos. I really wish I had that. And it's like, damn, me too, man. But then also later on, the guy, the instructor, that's his name, the instructor, the arena guy, black belt guy, yeah. He was like, hey, Zinogre, where do you keep the Jasper? Like, you know, what part of your body is the Jasper? Like, you know, like the little Zinogre orb. And then he gets upset because it's implied that it's his genitalia. So that was funny. I thought that was very funny. Robbed blind. Unto Kichawacha? Sure thing. I need to see this. Yeah, if you look up Monster Hunter, I'm pretty sure there's subtitles. If you look up the Monster Hunter Feline Village anime, and you just gotta find the Zinogre episode. It's so cute. By the way, the cats talk in that. I gonna be honest, my latest video talking about the cats talking. Okay, everyone here who's on my live stream, I want you all to know. Sometimes I say that I read comments, but I only read comments on my videos about 50% of the time. And I'll be honest, I only really read the comments for like the first day or two that it's uploaded, and then eventually it reaches like outside of my circle, and then I start getting comments I just refuse to read. Like I just either they are just straight up like insulting me, or it's just like a complete misunderstanding of Monster Hunter and the kind of content that I'm trying to make. It's completely fueled by headcanon, and I would just prefer just not. I don't want that. I don't need that in my life. But I made a video talking about the cats in Monster Hunter, and again, as I said in the video, I find it interesting that over all the years, and I think it's because of Capcom's choice to not give the cats the ability to speak in 5th gen, that it has somehow cemented the headcanon that cats don't talk. The cats only speak in meows, and they've always spoken in meows. And it's funny because, again, like I used to watch this anime about the cats talking and going on adventures, and that was during the Portable Third days. So I always had this idea that the cats could speak English or Japanese or the Monster Hunter language, I guess. But I guess that wasn't the case. A lot of people had headcanoned it that it was like a Star Wars situation. That the cats were like Chewbacca, and the hunter was Han Solo and can just understand the cats. And a lot of people just prefer it that way. Like, they prefer their headcanon over what's actually canon. And I'm not going to take that away from them, but I think it's part of a bigger issue that the Monster Hunter community at large would just prefer their own headcanon over what is actually canon. This goes for a lot of stuff. Yeah. Commenters can be pretty rough, yeah. Randoms who want you to die for no reason. Is the cats talking, like, actual discourse? Not really. It's not actual discourse. It's more like, it is a example of a bigger issue, and that's that, people in Monster Hunter would prefer their own headcanon, and I think it's because the games don't make the actual canon clear enough. The games are way too vague in general, and that's the source of the issue, really. There isn't reliable lore, there isn't reliable source of information for Monster Hunter, and people say, oh, you know, there's the encyclopedias, but it's like, how many of those encyclopedias have been translated to English? How many of those encyclopedias are for sale in bookstores in America or the UK, or even, you know, like Germany, or anywhere that's, you know, the West? They aren't. I don't even think they've been translated to, like, other Asian languages, even countries, I should say. Like, they just aren't, straight up. And that has led to a misunderstanding of the lore of Monster Hunter. I remember this is Monster Hunter 4, and I can't rotate while I'm jumping off a cliff. Yeah, you can't rotate. I can't focus mode my way. I agree the basic meowing is more clean, I guess, in part because the most voice acting in general is just a bit grating. I don't know, I think the cat's talking is cute. Exactly! Well, I don't know, like, I like that relationship, and I think that the cats deserve more respect. That's basically what I'm trying to say, and I think I'm glad that Monster Hunter Wilds, you know, is respecting Monster Hunter, and they're straight up saying, like, no, the cats do talk. And they're like, we don't care if you... Actually, they do understand there's going to be people who don't like it. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if in the next game they don't give you the option for meows. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think they're going to do that, because there's obviously clearly a lot of people who just prefer the meows, and they think that the meowing is cute, which is fine. I don't know. I think it comes down to... I think it comes down to each individual player and what they're capable of. Because I think straight up there are just some, especially in the Western communities, there are just some players that are like, nah, this is cringe. I don't want to have a cat talk. That's cringe. In my world, cats do not talk, and they just prefer it that way. And I'm not gonna put them down for it, even if I believe they should just accept their talking animals. For you, Chargeblade is still the most based version. I don't know. After playing Wilds, I'm pretty sold on Wilds Chargeblade. Hi, Chips. Chips just said hi, Jacob, so I just want to say hi. Hi, Chips. Hi to everyone. Thank you all for coming by the way. Like, really, really great turnout, as always. I really appreciate you all being here, and I love talking with you. I love just talking about anything. I want to do some streaming more. I want to do more streams soon. I'm in the middle of moving, which is why my Lego content has kind of been on the down low. All of my Lego has been packed up, so I don't really have a lot to show. Don't have any new models, but I will be getting more Monster Hunter Wilds models done soon. I wanted to really quickly, just because we're here, wanted to really quickly just show off. I just released Crimson Fatalis. I'm gonna show him off here. So I just released Crimson Fatalis. You can see him here. He looks great. Really, really happy with Crimson Fatalis. I have a bunch of other builds I did recently. I'm trying to remember what they were. I think they were herbivores. I did Sligtoth and Laranoth. Those were the ones I did recently. And I'm happy with those as well. I'm just not generally a fan of voice acting in video games in general, so I can't have strong opinions on it either way. I think the voice selection and pitch shift gives enough option to make the voices palatable. Yeah, I agree. As for the voice acting in video games, it's tough. A lot of the voice actors that they hire are voice actors from anime studios, like anime dubbing studios. And so there's a lot of overlap with the way that the voices are handled. Urgent quest. Yay. There's still a... I think I messed it. Urgent quest. HR2. There we are. And a lot of the way that voice acting is done for anime dubbing, like English dubbing these days, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but the cadences that are accepted and used are different than they were 20 years ago and different from than they were 20 years before that. Like if we're going back to like the late 80s and entering the early 90s and the way that dubbing was done, me personally, I think dubbing in general for video games and anime was at its peak around like the 2010s. No, the 2000s. I think it was at its peak around the 2000s. But once we entered the 2010s, the cadence in people's voices started to change. And I think it's to better match what's happening in the Japanese version. But if you're not aware of that, it can be kind of jarring, and or it kind of feels out of place. I think that American, especially American, but maybe West in general, but definitely American view on performance tends to be more reserved. Like a lot of the media we consume on TV, even like cartoons, tend to be more reserved. The way that people are talking is more reserved and held back. But in Japan, things are way more exaggerated. Even their very typical like live action fiction shows in Japan, even they are over the top to a degree. Like, they're way more stylized. And I think that we're just not used to that. And so when you have someone dubbing, and they're dubbing in English, right? They're dubbing a Japanese thing into English, and they're doing the exact same cadence and over-exaggeratedness that it was being done in the Japanese performance. The American audience, sometimes they're like, this is really weird. Like, it feels over the top. People have made fun of it. Like, I don't know if you guys seen those edits of, like, Breaking Bad, but they replace the voice with, like, someone trying to be an anime voice actor, like an anime dubbing voice actor, and obviously it sounds wrong, because, like, that's just not how people do things in the West. Like, that's not how... Our performance is a lot more subtle. Sorry, that was long-winded. All is to say, yeah, it's sort of a byproduct of the anime dubbing that I find... Like, just dubbing in general. Like, they're taught to act and talk a certain way that is closer to that of what the original Japanese is doing. And that's why a lot of video game dubbing sounds, like, kind of off and weird. Dub-isms are often the source of that grading I mentioned, yeah. Exactly, you boil it down to that. We have the ability to remove voice acting that was available in World and Rise. I'm stuck with them on. And if it's really that big of a deal, like, just play it in Japanese or in German or, like, a language you don't understand. Straight up. It's no different than playing in the Monster Hunter language. If you don't understand the language, how is that any different, right? Like, because you don't understand the Monster Hunter language, and that's part of the reason why it doesn't feel so grating. Because you can't quite... If you don't understand what they're saying, then you're mostly focused on reading, and it'll feel more subtle. That's all. So... Spanish and English dubs mostly sound like they're trying to imitate the original voiceovers. So how they keep removing quality of life features like player action setting or disabling voice acting. I don't consider... I don't know if disabling voice acting is a quality of life feature. The game is really focused... Can I climb this? I can. The game is super focused on storytelling. Like, the player has... If it's really that big of a deal, just turn off, like, there's an option to turn off voice acting. Just turn it off. You can just turn off voice acting. In general, like, that's still there. There's an option, there's like a slider to turn it off. And again, like, if it's really that big of a deal, just play it in Japanese. Or a language you don't understand. I'm fine with Palco's talking, but the VAs are just so cringe-inducing. Events to any of them just can't power through get a load of these claws 50 times in one hunt. I do believe there's not enough voice lines. That's a legitimate, definitely a legitimate critique. There's not enough voice lines, just in general. I'm glad that the Hunter doesn't talk that much. That was a big issue in Rise. The Hunter just kept talking. I hate that there's no slider that, like, determines the frequency of the speech. I would say that's an issue. You should be able to, like, turn that frequency down so that the cat isn't saying get a load of these claws every single minute. But if you really find it annoying, again, you can just turn off the voices. You can put it in a language you don't understand, or you can just not play with the cat. Just put the cat away. The game is probably not going to be that hard. Like, you could probably play without the cat, no problem. The cat is definitely there for support, but I don't think you need it. It's not like I would say in Monster Hunter 4, I need to have the cat because these monsters are so aggressive. Am I the only one that thought the Gen 5 monster language sounds like Japanese but way worse? Actually, there is a content creator who is trying to understand the Monster Hunter language by breaking down what it is. And it is actually technically Japanese, I think, translated to another language and then translated back to Japanese or something. So there is like a actual language that they wrote. It's just not publicly available, and it's because it's irrelevant. And definitely in this latest game, you can tell that they don't really care to make it part relevant. Like, it just doesn't really matter. Like, we don't need to have a Monster Hunter language. It's cool that they did it, but it's not at all required for what the storytelling experience is. In the end, the most important thing is literally just understanding the story. And if at the end of the day, if you're reading text or you're hearing it through visuals, like, the dialogue has to be presented in a language you can understand. Otherwise, the story will not be told the way that they want it. There's only so much visual storytelling alone can tell you about what a character is feeling. Eventually, like, context is needed for the greater nuance. They should have made it so the cats can speak both meows and English, not one or the other. Okay, I could see that. I definitely think they should be meowing more. I don't hate the Hunter talking in cutscenes for relatively generic acknowledgements and whatnot, but I don't like it when the voice actor feels like they're not making decisions for you. What? Feels like they're oh, they are making decisions for you. I could see that. There's actually a video I want to make talking about the more I guess, like, the ludic. Is it pronounced ludic or ludic? I think it's ludic aspects of Monster Hunter, and how in the past they allowed you to be like the sole sort of driving force of your character, but now it does seem like your hunter is a character of its own, and you just have some say in what your hunter's character arc is going to be. But I definitely think that Monster Hunter should be about your own character arc. It's your own growth, it's your own story. There could be a greater narrative, but it should always be it's complementary to your own personal journey, not like them being one and the same. It should be additional. Monster fluid. Do you think the Frenzy virus will be in Wilds? Only if Gormagala is in Wilds. What are your thoughts on the map in the beta? I have some complaints. I like the map. I do think that it feels too small because of the Sacred. The Sacred definitely makes it feel too small. But it's not make or break for me. Like, I think something that a lot of players weren't doing, because a lot of the monsters don't go there, is there's this whole canyon area that most monsters just don't hang out in at all. Does that even hit? I don't even know if that even hit the Nursilla. There's a canyon section that monsters don't even hang out in. And I have to imagine that, like, Rathian probably hangs out there, and there's probably other monsters that will be fought there. Like, there's a whole section of the map that, for most of the demo, you just aren't fighting in. Like, sometimes Chatacabra goes there, but it's not... Most people weren't fighting Chatacabra. You were fighting, you know, Raydao, and Raydao does not hang out in the Canyon Gorge area of the map. So I thought that that was cool, that there is, like, sections of the map that have a place, depending on what monster you're hunting. So I'm excited to see how that sort of plays out, I guess. In the end, though, like, Monster Hunter's maps have always kind of just been, you know... Oh, dang. Just chopped his whole arm off. That was a miss. Of a seamless change between the desert and the jungle, it made it seem much bigger. Yeah, I'm really excited to sort of like really dig into that. When the other maps have less visual issues with LODs, because things like Oil Well or Scarlet Forest would have more blocked sight lines. Yes, I agree. I like that the desert is mostly vast and open. I think it complements what a desert is supposed to be. I think it's very beautiful. I think that in the Scarlet Forest, it's going to look really great. There's lots of fog too. And then Oil Well Basin, I have no idea what to expect for that, but judging from the few pictures we've gotten, it does seem interesting. What happened? I think we both attacked each other at the same time. Yeah. Oh, good. Glad that endemic life has more behaviors in wilds. Endemic life were awesome in world, but they kind of felt like glorified collectibles. Yep, I agree. I have such a strong urge to figure out how to make quests in Monster Hunter 4 just to fight monsters in Area 1 and 2 battle quarters. So, if you play Monster Hunter 2 or Freedom Unite, in those games, they actually do have quests where monsters will show up in Area 2. I don't think anything ever shows up in Area 1. Though, in my experience of dabbling with the custom quest tools, there's a lot you can do with it. There really is a lot. I for sure think the first map being a big open desert is going to give people the wrong idea of what the game as a whole will be like. I want to say I agree. I think it was definitely a choice. I think it was a good choice aesthetically, because having the big storm show up really establishes how dangerous the Forbidden Lands are going to be. But then immediately you go to the next map and like, it just rains a lot. Like, it's not quite the same as like a big thunderstorm. And I have to assume Oil Well Basin, everything kind of just catches on fire, which I guess is sort of hostile and scary, but it's not quite the same as like a volcano. It's suddenly exploding and erupting, which is what I was expecting to happen, and like forest catching on fire. It seems to be mostly oil, so whatever. And then we have to assume that there's going to be an ice map, and the ice map will probably just have a blizzard. And a blizzard, again, isn't quite as exciting as like that thunderstorm is, but who knows, maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe it'll be like a super blizzard that like, I don't know. One thing I've always wanted is for monsters to actually attack the village and having to hunt the monster in the village. That might actually happen in Wilds. That actually might happen. There might be a quest where in one of the villages we'll have to hunt. I mean, in the Oil Well Basin trailer, was there not a monster in the village? So, I think we're in luck there. I think. Gormagala. I think I have to fight Gormagala soon, guys. It does sell the idea of the maps being open and one size larger than before, or better than Scarlet Forest might, but since there's not much sense of scale. Yeah. Do you think Wyverians are related to humans? Are they truly wyvern related and they lay eggs? I want to say that I think that we're just not meant to think about that. But also, is it really that crazy to say that, like, oh, maybe some wyverns give live birth? Giganox does. So I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy to just maybe Wyverians don't. Are they related to humans? I don't know. I don't want to say that for sure. I don't want to make any assumptions. One thing I love about the old world maps is when you actually look at the background, the maps are so huge. Ancient Citadel would generally take an hour to climb to Valstrak's Nest. Yes, it's a video I actually want to make called, like, Monster Hunter maps have actually gotten smaller. And it's, like, the assumption here, like, if I'm looking at this map, what's happening on my screen right now, the assumption is that we climbed all the way down to the grassy fields way off at the horizon there. Because I go here, like, we climb down that mountain just now. And there's a lot of walking that the game just doesn't make you do. See, I would love if this was like an absolute giant open field and you could just run forever. I know a lot of players would be like, that's silly. Like, why? But I don't know. I think oh my goodness, my phone just fell and scared my cat. No, I think that Monster Hunter is kind of all about a representation of reality, and you know, nature is kind of like this. I need a proper phone stand. Don't do that. Is this Monster Outlanders? Looks suspiciously familiar. Yeah. This is Monster Hunter Outlanders. No, this is Monster Hunter Wilds. If the maps are going to be 10 times the size like that, I think they need to make more specific monsters you hunt stay to a specific corner of the giant map generally. Yeah, definitely. Like, we wouldn't want to, like, chase the monster around. I guess we'll see in Monster Hunter Outlanders how they're going to deal with open world Monster Hunter, like truly open world Monster Hunter. Personally, I don't think that Monster Hunter should be truly open world. I think it should be location based. You know, you go down into a location. That's what I think works better. Why don't you show us the cool base you built? Oh, I will. Don't worry. I'll show it off at the end of the stream. I'll also show off Leo Velos, which is a new monster. I have a feeling that monsters just won't run away in Outlanders. Yeah, no, that's probably what's gonna happen. I don't think that the monsters are actually going to... If they do run away, they won't go very far. Like, I don't think it'll be like, oh, the Rathalos, like, swoops in and just destroys your base camp. Like, I really doubt that. I'm not sure why they have, like, base construction at all. Because Monster Hunter is... It's not really... It feels like they're adding other gameplay loops because they know that most players are not going to upgrade their equipment. They're just going to use the gacha system, or there just won't be like a proper upgrade system for the gacha characters. Truthfully though, like, the only thing that's going to really make this game work is if those characters are actually interesting. Like, they have to be actually interesting characters. They have to be like good waifu husbandos, otherwise no one will care. But I don't actually expect anything good because as of late, companies they just don't write good. They don't write good moe anymore. Everything is just how can we make a character really attractive and quirky? There's never that like deeper like oomph. That the thing that makes characters feel real. That's the reason why anime has been so popular over so many decades. The reason why waifuism even came to be, the fact that there were people to say, this is my waifu. That doesn't just come out of nowhere. Ashes of Creation? What is that? What is Ashes of Creation? Is the title clickbait? Yes, the title's clickbait. I'm always doing clickbait titles. I do sometimes worry Capcom forgot about their idea of the monsters are the actual main characters. I think that the world is the actual main character. It's not the monsters, it's the world. The monsters are you're right, like you are right, but it's just the monsters, it's the world itself. Is the main character of Monster Hunter, and you, the hunter, is sort of just a supporting role. And you get to set up whatever your goal or plot line is. You have your own goals in this crazy world they call Monster Hunter. Probably Area 4, right? You know, I say I'd prefer if the characters had that extra oomph, but I know with how Genshin was going, and a lot of these gacha... Excuse me. A lot of these gacha games are going. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They just make a character attractive and quirky, and that's all they need. People are like, I like this character, they're hot. But then they move on from the character so fast. Yeah, I was talking, like, to my friends about this. There is such a drastic difference between like the lasting impact of a character like Rei Ayanami from Evangelion compared to like any of the Genshin cast. This Monster Hunter for you? I think it is. I think this is Monster Hunter for you. I hope it is. Need a Cantor and Ecanlos to come back so they can have a turf war to change the ecosystem. You see, a lot of people say stuff like that, and I agree. Like, I would love to have a Cantor and Ecanlos come back. I'd love to have Dalamadur come back and have, like, this whole quest. But then I remember that it took them a year to develop Zora Magdaros. And it's like, the spectacle of it happens once, and then you never really want to do it again. Like, I think I only ever do the Zora Magdaros fight, like, once or twice per, like, playthrough of Monster Hunter World. And I just know that if they did something like that, it's like, oh, this epic cutscene where a Cantor and Eucanlos, it would just be a cutscene, and that's it. Or, if it happened in-game, like, would the ecosystem reset? And if that happened, wouldn't that, like, the amount of, like, effort that would go into that is so giant. And personally, this is my hot take, if they're gonna put that much effort, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna make something Zora Magdaros or Dalamadur level in Monster Hunter World where the entire, this giant spectacle, I'd almost rather they just use that time to, like, I don't know, just make a new map. Or, like, I don't know, use that time to, like, bring back some other old monsters, or use the time to make, like, a new weapon type. Use that time to do underwater combat. Do you think Rathian went up to sleep? I have not been paintballing. I did my first Safi'jiiva siege yesterday, and I loved it, and I would be interested to hear your thoughts on it. I like Safi'jiiva. I liked it a lot more than Kulve Taroth. It is pronounced Kulve Taroth, right? Like, that's how they pronounce it in the game. Ratatosker always says Kulve. Why does he say Kulve? Is that how it's pronounced? Is it Kulve? I don't think it's Kulve. Rathian did not go here. I made a poor decision. Kulve. Koth Taroth. You Koth? I always say Kulve, yeah. Kulve, it's on Spanish. It's on Spanish? It doesn't matter. I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter, right? Like, Tigrex, potato, who cares? But I do find that one funny, because, it's a very different pronunciation. It's a very different pronunciation. But, you know, if I'm, like, very wrong, if it's not Kulve Taroth, like, if no one ever says Kulve Taroth, then I'll change the way I pronounce it, like, because otherwise I'm gonna get, I care about pronunciations. It's more that if I say it incorrectly, I will never hear the end of it. People will be like, why are you saying it like that? Opinion discarded. You said Kulve Taroth wrong. You know, like, Rathian. Well, as long as I don't call it Wraithalos. Hey guys, I want to fight some Wraithalos. Again, I actually don't care. Say it however way you want. I won't even get in. I won't even talk about Basil. Like, in my Lego Basil TikTok, I said it a way I thought it was pronounced, and everyone had a field day. Like, that's all the comments were. They were like, why are you pronouncing it like that? I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna say it here. You can go search it out yourself. I'm not gonna get that flack right now. Kulve Taroth be a Latina. The R is silent and Wathalos. It's Wathalos. Yeah, let's not worry about it. Let's stick with monsters with very consistent pronunciations, like Velocidrome. Ain't no one saying Velocidrome like Velocidrome. By the way, if I ever miss your message, feel free to send the message again. I don't really mind the spam, per se, as long as you're not sending it, like, If you spam the same thing over and over again, then I think it automatically puts you on timeout. But yeah, if I ever miss like a question, because this is, you know, my streams are meant to be like ask me anything, but they're also just meant to be a discussion, you know. So feel free to, if I miss your comment, I go on tangents like all the time. Like I'll see like, actually it's funny. I'm usually reading like 20 messages. Like the one I'm reading is 20 messages earlier than whatever is the most recent message when I'm reading it. Just because I'm trying to make sure I get the ones that were said last, earliest, I guess. Velocidrome. That's weird. Draume, but Velocidraume. That's crazy. That's a crazy way. We need to abandon official names. Only meme names like Basil and Steve. Naharala? So you just don't even say the J? Naharala. Naharala. I like the idea of there being like Monster Hunter dialects. Depending on, you know, what country, what Monster Hunter country you're from. Is it faster to use the shortcut or should I just run? I'm just gonna run. Is it Fate Alice or Fata Loss? I say Fatalis. Fatalis. And I say it like Bliss. Fatalis. For me, Fatalis's name comes from its Japanese name, which is Mira Boryosu. And Mira sounds like miracle, the same way that like fate, miracle. Like it's almost like a divine name. And so I like to make sure that it's fate, not fat. Fatalis is not fat, he's actually quite skinny. Congo Lola. Yo, I'm so happy this monkey is back. His pompadour and his pompous personality. Fatalis? Fatalis? I could see Fatalis, yeah. But fatal is derived from fate, is it not? If something is fatal, then that means that you've succumbed to a fate. It's not fatal. You're not fatal. Ashes of Creation is a new MMO that's come out with no fast travel. I've seen a bunch of people say it gives them old gen monster vibes, so gather materials to then set off a caravan, then do one fight. Is it like classic like MMO style gameplay, or is it more like action RPG? Put in a few more pounds, then he becomes the Fatalis variant. Fat Fatalis. Brachydios? Owen, why did you just say Brachydios? Brachydios? Will you be doing a private server for you and the viewers when Monster Wilds comes out, since it's going to be crossplay? I will probably play on my own, but when I do live stream it... Oh, shoot. He got me. With a stink. I will probably be playing on my own and with my friends. But anytime I'm playing online, I mean, if I'm playing live stream, yeah, I'll let people just join in. I won't like gatekeep y'all from joining me. Got carded by Kongola's belly. Didn't even know it did damage back then. Yeah. It's great. Brachydios is a name that could be pronounced many different ways? I guess so? I've always just said Brachydios. You left, right? Yeah, you left. Brachydios? I guess. Brachydios. Brachydios? Brachydios. This doesn't... Again, it doesn't matter. You can pronounce things any way you want. Some of the really funny pronunciations, like Nicaragua for Nargacuga, like that's funny. Why didn't that count as a mount attack? That counted. That... I always sometimes wonder if it would ever be possible for them to invent another vertebrate monster class, or if at this point they've done everything in terms of reptiles, mammal, monster shapes. No, there's got to be animals they haven't done yet. Like, have we seen like a large raccoon monster yet? I don't even like, people will sometimes call Tobikirachi kind of squirrel-like, but I don't think they've done like a true like squirrel. I also don't believe that they've properly done like an actual big cat. Like, I don't consider Magnum to be like a big cat. Like if they were to like take Teostra and like remove its wings, we haven't quite seen that yet. And even then, like, that's still pretty draconic. There's also... I'm trying to think. Other vertebrate creatures. Like salamanders. We haven't gotten salamanders yet. Like newts. Nargacuga is a big cat. I mean, he doesn't... No, he's super wide. Platypus? Yeah, there isn't a platypus monster. We haven't gotten like a rhinoceros monster yet. I am poisoned and stinky. A worm monster? Well, that would be an invertebrate. A dolphin monster? Yeah, there you go. Now, there's still lots they haven't done yet. They haven't done a dolphin. Tetranodon is a platypus? Yeah, I guess it technically is. Levasteoth is basically a dolphin. Yo, if you say so. I think there's lots of fish that they haven't done yet. There's definitely lots of fish they haven't done yet. Area 7 or 6? Isn't that where Congalala goes? And they've done one snake, but I feel like they could do a few more snakes and different kinds of snakes. Like they haven't done like a cobra yet. What is it doing? It's just a funny guy. I see how it swims and jumps out of the ground like a dolphin. Okay. And then, yeah, obviously for invertebrates, there's tons they could do. I really want to see, like, a crayfish. I'd love a crayfish. And a lobster? I guess they're kind of similar. And, like a pill bug looking monster? That'd be great. Like, kind of like a big conchu. That'd be fun. I'd love that. Or like giant shrimp monsters. That'd be crazy. They like walk around like little funny little shrimp. This will kill. We still haven't seen like a pack of wolves monster, except for like, I guess Frontier. Frontier had the two Garons. But even in both World and Rise, we got new Garons, finally, but they were never pack monsters. Not even Zinogre has ever been a proper pack monster. I really hope if Zinogre is brought into Wilds. It is. It's gonna be, I mean, come on, Zinogre has never missed a game. Zinogre is the #1 most popular monster. They're gonna add him in. But, I hope that when he is inevitably added in, I hope that he is a pack monster. I'm really hoping. Big dragonfly. Big dragonfly that has dragon element. That would be cool. There needs to be more bug monsters. I do agree. I do agree. Isn't Zinogre's whole thing being a lone wolf? I'm pretty sure in this game there's a quest where you where it says a pack of Zinogre. They do sometimes gather in groups. Can't wait to play Outlanders on my iPod Nano. Zinogre doesn't seem like a pack monster. Okay. I'm certain that he is. I'm so certain that Zinogre is a pack monster. I'm actually just gonna look it up right now. Zinogre ecology. They do not form packs. Quite the contrary, they're solitary out. Okay. Adult Zinogre make herds and raise their young. What? How come it says they do not form packs, but adult Zinogre make herds? Huh? This is why I don't like the way that the ecology is presented on these pages, because it says here it has like literally they come together, raise young, and then go their separate ways. But like raising young takes a long time, right? I don't know. The best part about these pages, right, is the fact that there is no citation. There's no citation at all. There's absolutely nothing that confirms that this is from any official piece of material. There's no citations. People could have just made this up. They could have. We're just supposed to expect that this. I guess not expect. The assumption is that everything in there is legit, but there is nothing. So I don't even know. I just know there's a quest in this game that says there is a pack of Zinogres. In fact, see if I can find the quest info. MH4U offline. I don't have it unlocked, so I would go check it. They have descriptions. Level 8. And for the Zinogre one, there should be one that says. It actually doesn't. I swear it did. It said get rid of the Zinogres prowling the quarry. I feel like it did. Mandela effects. I blame it on Mandela effect. You have a Mandela effect every single day. I mean, every single hour. I'm misinformation running rampant in Monster Hunter. I'm guilty of it. Zemtrios? Sure. No citations because there's really no lore for this kind of stuff, exactly. And that's the reason why headcanons have run rampant. Just means every copy of Monster Hunter is personalized. I swear that is not what the quest info says. Or it might be that the quest was the quest data changes after you complete it for the first time, and then becomes something else. But I swear I remember it at one point saying, like, the game tells me a pack of Zinogre. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's fight Zamtrios. There's a quest called the Red Menace in 4U for Red Kezu, confirming that communism is canon. Not quite. Not quite. I think if they straight up said communism, then I feel like that would be a better proof, but do you think some monsters should be higher ranked, like Apex Elder Dragon level? I think that the way that some monsters are placed is kind of silly. Like, I don't believe that Seregios should be a high rank monster. I think Seregios is at best a like an end of low rank monster. So does this work? No? How does Sonic Bombs work for Zamtrios? Like, I think that Devil Joe is obviously should stay as high rank. I think that you should never fight Elder Dragons in low rank. Unless it's Kieran. Or Leo Velos, of course. Leo Velos is a low rank Elder as well. I guess like Cedius. There's so much headcanon in this fandom, I can't tell if the Equal Drag Weapon was an actual cut concept or someone on DeviantArt came up with it. Okay. I can say, absolutely, without a doubt, the Equal Dragon Weapon was not DeviantArt. I physically own the book that the Equal Dragon Weapon is from. There's 2 books the Equal Dragon Weapon is featured in. It's featured in 2 books. 1, Monster Hunter Illustrations, the original Japanese, as well as the American version. It's also included in the very first Monster Encyclopedia. Both those books mentions Equal Dragon Weapon. In the Illustrations book, it basically, it doesn't say that it is, like this is an abandoned concept, but it's in the concept art section of the book. So we have to assume that it's an abandoned concept art. All of the information regarding that is in its little picture. Like the one drawing of it has all of the information attached to it. Is in that same drawing. Which means it was entirely always a concept. Now, the reason why it's run rampant as maybe being canon is because in the encyclopedia, along with all that information that was put, that like the original concept image was copied and pasted into the encyclopedia. And they wrote, this is a myth that's passed around. That's it. So, and the encyclopedias have been like, they were at one point canon. I would argue that they've been retconned since then. I think that every new Monster Hunter basically retcons the last one to a degree. So, it is real. It's just not a part of Monster Hunter canon. It has always been an abandoned concept that they decided to... I was hoping that would work. Let's try this. Okay, does this work? No? I don't know what to use sonic bombs for. Maybe someone said it and I just didn't read it. Eco Dragon Weapon and all that stuff only really worked when the game wasn't ecologically focused. Not true. Not true at all. The whole point of the Equal Dragon Weapon... I mean, I made a video on this. The whole point of the Equal Dragon Weapon is that theoretically, yes, humanity could get themselves to a point where they could do that. Like, it's meant to be a lesson, right? Like, humanity is making the Dragonators. They're making all these crazy weapons and armor using, like, they are biological weapons. Like, most of the weapons you get in this game could be considered biological weapons. That's what they are. Because they're made from, like, the organs of animals. Oh, almost got him. He's gonna deflate. He got me. That was a mistake. And he got me. Any ideas for new monster classes? I feel like we kind of talked about that earlier. I think just we need more invertebrates. That's all. There's lots that they could do with invertebrates. But the monster classes that they basically already have pretty much cover a good swath of different types of animals, and I'm pretty happy with what they have so far. I'm not dying for like a new class necessarily, but I'd be surprised if they added one. I'd be happy if they added a new one. I want a badger? Yeah. What was I saying? I was talking about the Eco Dragon weapon. I made a video on it where my words are a little bit more clear, but the whole point of the Eco Dragon weapon is not that it exists, it's that it's meant to be a lesson. Like, hey, humanity, just because you're making biological weapons and you're fighting against nature, just make sure that you never go too far. Like, that's the whole point. It's a reminder to never go too far, because if you go too far, then it can potentially become a bigger issue. You could accidentally make something that's terrible and evil and nah, let's go too far. My like, you know, the analogy I always use, right, is you don't use a nuclear weapon on Godzilla. Even though Godzilla is supposed to be made from, like, you know, like, it's the only thing that could stop Godzilla would be a nuclear weapon. But you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to, and there are other ways of dealing with it. It's like, don't become the very thing that you're trying to destroy, is the whole point. Don't build the equal dragon weapon to destroy dragons. Yeah, there's other ways of going about this. It's like a path that leads down to something far worse and far, like, something that could be so much more devastating for the planet. So the equal dragon weapon is important and should be. I think it should be a myth. It shouldn't be a monster. It should be a myth that is talked about in game, where they say, like, hey, I heard that maybe a long time ago in some cave that no one remembers how to get to, there's a creature called the equal dragon weapon, and then we leave it at that, you know. And like they're like the myth, the story is never do it, never ever build one, never ever make a nuclear weapon, never make your own dragon. Because if you do, you'll regret it. Do we have a hedgehog monster besides Nergigante? No, we do not. That would also be cool. And Tower looks like artistic babbles. Oh my goodness, artistic depictions of Tower of Babel for a reason. Exactly. I feel like the I've talked about it in my videos. I'm dead certain that, like, that missed. That just completely missed. That the reason why the tower in Monster Hunter looks like the Tower of Babel is because it's meant to be a direct parallel to it. That humanity went too far. They tried to defy the universe and nature. And they've you know, but the truth is even though they did do that, it led to nothing. Like, they didn't gain anything from it. They didn't succeed. They didn't, you know, completely triumph over nature like they wanted to. It's the same thing with the Eagle Dragon weapon. Like, the fact that you find it, and it's like, oh, this thing was meant to protect... It was meant to be, like, the guardian of these people. But where are the people? How come only this thing has survived? And this is something that has shown up a lot in, like, the really, like, esoteric Japanese fiction. I don't know, like, it's never been said, but I personally believe that, like, Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, is a direct influence on Monster Hunter. It's an influence on a lot of Japanese fantasy and sci-fi, because it was one of the most important anime films ever. And there is a lot of discussion of that in that film, and the manga as well. It's, you know, they find ancient biological weapons that were used long time ago, and they try to use those biological weapons to help humanity, but in the end they discover that they are, you know, going down that road leads to a dark place, which is sort of like the message. Like, you can't repeat the sins of our fathers, you know? Otherwise we have to learn from it. Oh boy, I can't wait to build the Equal Dragon weapon based on my favorite story. Don't build the Equal Dragon. Yes, that's the point. That's the point. That's the whole point of it. Which is what's cool and can have people even in universe interpret the meaning of what a hunter is in a good or bad ways. Yeah. Want a new Elder Dragon that's literally just a walking radioactive nuke, like a late-stage Godzilla that passively damages you when you get close to it. That would be interesting. Hope we never learn everything about all the ancient civilization of Monster Hunter. Part of the reason they're so interesting is because we know so little. Exactly. This is just like One Piece. Does this happen in One Piece? I've never watched it. My mother watched it. I didn't watch it. Trickle-down effect of how people have learned and interpreted the untold ancient civilization events and teachings being shown through the current game's characters is a cool idea. Nobody can convince me that the tower is actually made of Kashela parts. So why, when you mine the tower, do you get Kashela scales? Why is that? It's simple. So I'm going through every quest description for you and GU to see if pack Zinogres exist. Made me think. Monsters shouldn't turf war. They should just be allowed to target each other like hunters. Yeah, and they're trying to do that in Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, they're trying to make the monster infighting like way more dynamic and cause dummy Kashela likes scratching his back on the tower. Even if you killed every single Kashela, I don't think it'd be enough to build that massive tower. You can make the assumption that they probably didn't exclusively use Kashela. It's okay, so like all of our weapons and armor in Monster Hunter, is that not made from monster parts? It's like just normal in the world of Monster Hunter. Like half the stuff in this room, not half the stuff, there's a lot of stuff in this room that we're standing in this game that's made from monster parts. There's bones, giant bones, like, yeah, this is not a good example because they're actually, I mean in the back here, above this, these are giant bones, these two pillars. Like, this is a very normal thing in Monster Hunter. Things are made out of monster parts.